Hello everyone and welcome to this video on key quotations for Macbeth. It's going to go through all the quotations which you have been learning in class, and it's going to talk about how you're going to link them to characters and themes and talk about the writer message and things like that. It's really vital that you know these quotations off by heart and you know how to explain them, because that's going to help you to write a really good essay in conjunction with knowing the plot as well. So what's going to happen is the quotation will appear on screen like this. You'll then pause the video and write down what you know about the quotation, who says it, where it's from, what it means, what themes it links to, etc, etc, and then I'll put an answer on screen. The themes which you should be linking to, as a quick reminder, you should be linking to power and ambition. First of all, they are the most important themes. Also violence. You might want to also mention masculinity or femininity, kingship as well, and also the supernatural in the form of the witches. So the first one, fair is foul and foul is fair. Write down what it means, who says it, where it's from, and what you know about this, and pause the video if you need to. Okay, the answer for this one is it's about the witches. It's from very near the start of the play. All these quotations are in chronological order, so that they will go through in the order which they appear. And they are describing the idea of right and wrong. Now, they're talking about basically the idea that something which is bad is also good, and something which is good is also bad. They're basically saying that you can't separate right from wrong. So this is kind of hinting at what's going to happen to Macbeth as the play continues, that he's going to turn from someone who is a good character, who is very fair, into someone who is very foul, as he loses everything that it means to be a human, and it shows how power and ambition is going to corrupt him. So right from the opening scene of the play, we can see that there is a hint as to the downfall of Macbeth. Second one, when the battle's lost and won. Okay, answers for this one. This is the witches literally describing the battle between Scotland and the invading Norwegians, who've been helped by the traitorous Thane of Cawdor. But also it could be referring to the battle for Macbeth, for his soul, you know, the battle of whether good or evil it is going to win out. And obviously we know that eventually evil will overcome the goodness in Macbeth. But it does have a literal and a more metaphorical meaning, this one. If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me. Okay, so Macbeth believes at this point in the play that he should wait, because if it is his destiny to become king after he finds out from the witches and their prophecies that he will become king, that he should just wait for it, and he doesn't need to take it. He'll just allow fate to take its course, and he will just allow what will be to be. However, as we know, this state of affairs changes once Lady Macbeth gets involved and starts manipulating him. But in the early stages, Macbeth is quite willing for fate to take its course. Next one, sorry. Too full of the milk of human kindness. So again, pause if you need to, write down everything you know. Okay, so this is Lady Macbeth talking about Macbeth, and she's questioning the strength that her husband has. She's questioning his masculinity and whether he's got the strength required in order to do what she realises needs to be done in order to take the crown from King Duncan rather than waiting. So it's a good quote to contrast with the one that we've just done. And she begins to realise that it's going to be her job, her role, to manipulate and control her husband in order to get them to that end goal of the crown which she wants. Look like the innocent flower, but with a serpent under it. So Lady Macbeth is talking here about, you know, the idea of appearance versus reality. Macbeth must disguise his true intentions, because obviously he cannot openly advertise the fact that he's going to kill the king. And he's got to look as though he is all sweet and innocent, but as a contrast underneath, be a serpent underneath. So this is hinting at an almost biblical evil which Macbeth, you know, is going to hide from underneath, because he's going to strike at the king, and everyone at this time believed that striking at the king was also going against God because of the divine right to rule. And so it's this idea that we must hide this sense of evil, because otherwise, you know, people would see it and the plans would be useless. I dare do all that may become a man, who dares do more is none. So again, take some time to write about what you know about this one. So Macbeth doesn't take kindly to Lady Macbeth questioning his masculinity and his strength, and he says that, you know, there's no one braver than him, and he has the bravery and the might to do everything that needs to be done, and therefore if he's willing to do so, she's got exactly what she needs from him in order to actually get him to manipulate him into killing King Duncan, because she wants him to prove his masculinity. She's tapping in to that insecurity that he has, that she knows that he will want to prove her wrong, and that's exactly what she wants him to do. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition which overleaps itself and falls on the other. So it's a very long quotation, but the underlined bit's the most important, so write down everything you know. Okay, so here Macbeth is describing his lack of motivation to kill King Duncan, because the only thing that makes him want to do it is the need to prove to Lady Macbeth that he's got that ambition, that he is willing to do it, but he doesn't really want to do it himself deep down. It's also a bit of a warning. It's trying to show you how this idea of unchecked ambition, if we don't keep it in check and don't keep it in control, can actually all come crashing down. And if it falls on the other, it effectively tumbles down and collapses. So it's this idea that ambition, if it grows and grows and grows, it's like a giant pile of Jenga, which will eventually come crashing down and leave devastation in its path. So it's a warning very much against ambition becoming too big and too strong. And obviously this is therefore foreshadowing Macbeth's eventual fall from grace, and as he does come metaphorically crashing down and his empire collapses around him and everyone turns on him at the end. Next one. Is this a dagger I see before me, the handle turned toward my hand? Again, write down everything you know, pause if you need to. So, at this point, Macbeth is on his... He's out in the castle, he's on his way, he's on his walk to kill Duncan, and he sees a hallucination, an appearance of a dagger hanging before him. And he starts to question what is real, what's not. He's questioning his senses. And this dagger actually starts pointing towards Duncan's chamber, and he sees that as almost like a direction, like a guide on which to go. And then the dagger has some blood appear on it suddenly as well, to signify, you know, the death of Duncan and the murder that he's about to commit. So actually, it's trying to show you that he's perhaps a little scared of what he's going to do, because he's kind of realizing the gravity of what he is about to commit. He is about to commit the king. He's about to commit murder of the king, sorry. And therefore, this dagger, you know, it's perhaps an indication of the stress at which he feels at this point, that this burden which is upon him, which he doesn't really want, because as we know from before, he would have rather just waited for his fate to actually take place, but it's his wife who's put him, through her manipulation, in this position. So the stress of this situation is probably making him hallucinate. Now, the only other thing to also mention is perhaps the influence of the witches and the supernatural. Are they the ones to kind of influence this as well? And that's something you could also work into an answer. There's daggers in men's smiles. So again, write down everything you know. So, after the murder of King Duncan, Donalbain and Malcolm decide to separate, because they think that they're going to be safer, because they realise that whoever has killed their father, because they know it's not them, could also be coming after them as well, because King Duncan had named Malcolm as his heir, his successor. He called him the Prince of Cumberland earlier on in the play, and so they realise that they need to split to keep themselves safe, because they know that men, when they smile to you directly, what's on the surface may not be the same as what's underneath. So it's kind of like the similar idea as look like the innocent flower but with the serpent under it. The sort of outward impression that you give to people is not necessarily the same as what you are feeling underneath, and they know this. What's done is done. So this is now a little bit later on in the play, and after Macbeth has killed King Duncan, Lady Macbeth is trying to reassure her husband that you can't change the past. It's all done, it's all sorted, we can just leave it behind. But obviously Macbeth cannot leave it behind, and the guilt that he feels, and she kind of secretly feels as well, begins to become so much of a burden that it begins to take over their mind, and it becomes the only thing that they think about. It dominates all of their thoughts. But at this point, she's trying to reassure him that they can leave it in the past, but they definitely can't. By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Okay, take some time to write about this one. So this is one of my favourite quotations actually from Macbeth, and it describes the witches when they're chanting just before Macbeth appears to them, when he wants to come for his second set of prophecies that, you know, he's now become king, but that's not enough. He wants more knowledge because he's still worried about the prophecy about Banquo's sons becoming king, and he's thinking, well, they can't become king until I'm not king, so he's worried about at what point, you know, he would lose the crown. And so they are now describing the approach of Macbeth as wicked. So he is this something wicked which is approaching them. So this is a direct contrast to what Macbeth was like at the start of the play. He was described as noble and brave, and the king rewarded him for his, you know, his honourable service in battle. So here, this is where you want to make a really clear structural contrast. This is how Macbeth has fallen from grace. He's gone from being this noble, brave, patriotic, you know, servant of the king, servant of the country, and now he is something evil. And he's being described as evil by witches, so he's got to be pretty bad. Double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. So this one is the witches casting their spell to see into the future. They're using their supernatural knowledge, so a really nice, easy link to one of the themes here. And they can see that Macbeth's future is not going to end well. And it's a future they're kind of manipulating him onto towards, just like his wife tried to manipulate him. But these witches can see the future, so they're almost enjoying toying with him and enjoying causing the pain that he's going to experience. And that's the same reason why Hecate appears and delivers that speech to the witches as well, where she tells off the witches for not allowing her to be a part of their charms and the use of their arts, she says, because they want to enjoy the torture of the men, of the mortals which are beneath them. Out damn spot. So again, pause the video, write everything you know. So, we're getting quite close to the end of the play now, and Lady Macbeth's guilt has grown, just like her husband's has been grown, but now hers has really caught up to it, and in some cases, in some ways, maybe even exceeded it. And so, just like he saw the hallucination of the dagger earlier on, she's now hallucinating and seeing, you know, spots of blood on her own hands, despite the fact that she didn't physically kill Duncan. She said she couldn't do it because he looked like her father. Now, these blood spots on her hand, very clearly, they're symbols, they're metaphors for the guilt which she now has. And she's trying to get those spots of blood off, but no matter how much she rubs her hand, she can't, because that guilt cannot be gotten rid of. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. So again, pause and write down everything you know, similar sort of area of the play. So, after Lady Macbeth has been scrubbing her hands, this is, you know, shortly afterwards, and she realises actually no matter how much she scrubs, no matter what she does, she will not be able to get rid of that metaphorical stench of murder. The idea that what they've done is too bad to be, you know, to be covered up forever. They're never going to be able to get past it. And so at this point, she's now almost lost all of that power and all of that strength that she had before. She was this unusual female figure before, controlling her husband, sort of dictating the direction of their destiny, and now she's just a shadow of what she once was, and she loses everything. And this is the point at which she's then going to die, because she's now lost all purpose and importance as a character, because everything they fought for is going to come crashing down around them. But this quotation is really about them and about her realising that no matter what they do, they cannot get rid of, you know, the impact of what they've done. Out brief candle. So quite close to the end now. So Macbeth hears of his wife's death, and instead of responding in a way where he's grieving and he's being really upset over her, he talks about how she should have died hereafter, and he thinks about what they're about to do in terms of the battle. But he's also realising that life can easily be blown out just with a quick blow of the candle, and the flame disappears. And that flame is supposed to represent her life. And so just in an instant, it's been taken away and is now gone, just like she is now gone. And so he's kind of reflecting upon the fragility of life, and maybe his own life as well, because just like her life was easily taken away, he's maybe realising that his own life could shortly disappear as well. I bear a charmed life, last quotation. Okay, this one is where Macbeth is being confronted by Macduff on the battlefield, and he, even though he knows deep down that things are going wrong because he's seen, you know, Great Burnham Wood arrive at Dunsinane, he knows to be wary of Macduff, and he also thinks that no man of woman born can harm him. He's still thinking at this point that the witches have protected him. This idea of charmed is that they've put a spell on him that protects him from harm, and so he's trying to, as much as he's trying to persuade Macduff that he can't be harmed, he's also trying to persuade and reassure himself, because he thinks, well, everyone's been born by a woman, but obviously he doesn't realise that Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped, and therefore he doesn't fit under the headings that the witches have described, because he wasn't technically born of a woman, and they also said beware of Macduff as well. So this is Macbeth kind of desperately clinging on to what he's been told, even though perhaps he's realising it's all coming crashing down around him. Okay, so that's the end of the quotations we've gone through. Basically, Macbeth is a story of how unchecked ambition, can corrupt our soul and turn even the best amongst us evil. And so that's what you kind of want to be getting across in any essay, that no matter who we are, that we've all got weaknesses, we've all got flaws, and therefore mankind is, it's ultimately fragile, and we are not as glorious and we are not as amazing as we think we are. And humanity as a species is very flawed, which we definitely all know to be true. Okay, thanks very much, and hopefully you can now write a really good essay using many of these quotations.